However many servings you decide 6 pancakes is, that's up to you. Today I am making sourdough pancakes. If you've made sourdough bread before, you've probably asked yourself, what can I do with this discard? And discard is what you remove from the sourdough starter before you refeed it. So depending on how much sourdough starter you have, it will change how much discard you have. But I have some discard from my sourdough starter, and this has become one of my favorite ways to use it. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make these sourdough pancakes. It's almost the middle of May in upstate New York, but it is a Sunday and it's cold and rainy and the perfect morning for making these sourdough pancakes. So here I have all of my ingredients. The exact recipe is listed in the caption below. And while you're looking at the recipe, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future one. All you're going to need is your ingredients. I have some sugar, salt, baking powder, flour, a little vanilla extract, almond milk, and my sourdough discard. This recipe just happens to be vegan. You can certainly use dairy milk instead of the almond milk that I'm using if you prefer, but otherwise these are very simple ingredients that are going to come together in a mixing bowl with my rubber spatula. I prefer this instead of a whisk because you really want to be gentle when you're mixing that batter, because you don't want to overwork it and you want to have a tender, light, fluffy pancake, and that's all you really need. So I'm going to start by taking my inactive sourdough starter. Because this is inactive, I'm going to use another leavening agent, which in this case is baking powder. So this won't have all of those leavening properties because it's not active, but you're still going to get all of the benefits of a sourdough starter, the healthy bacteria, and the tang or sour flavor that is so synonymous with sourdough. To this, I'm going to add a half a cup of my almond milk. Any other non-dairy or dairy milk will work. This is just a personal preference. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, only 1 tablespoon. This does sweeten them a little bit, but also it gives it a nice crust and caramelization when you cook it in the baking pan. I've also used maple syrup or other sweeteners that will work as well. Here, just a tablespoon of sugar is simple and it does the trick. I have a little bit of flour, a half a cup. My baking powder. Again, this is to act as a leavening agent because we are using an inactive sourdough discard. And then here I have just a pinch of salt. And we're going to just give this a mix until it's combined. Careful to not overmix it, and some lumps are okay. I mean, that came together in probably under a minute, so it's such a simple recipe, and this serves 2. So you can always double it or triple it depending on how many people you're feeding and how much sourdough discard you have. All right, so this has been mixed, and what I like to do is to just let it rest for about 10 or 15 minutes and let that leavening agent do its job in order to have the lightest, fluffiest pancakes. It has been about 10 minutes and my batter is bubbling nicely. It's taken some time to rest. That also allows the gluten that's in there to rest. And again, that will yield really light, perfect pancakes that you are going to love. So this recipe, as I stated, is vegan. It just happens to be. And typically I use this vegan butter to grease my pan. I like coconut oil because I think it adds a nice crisp to the pancake itself. So I'm going to use this vegan butter. Typical butter works just as well. So my pan should be good and hot. I also have an ice cream scoop here. I use this to portion out the batter so that each pancake is about the same size, and it's nice to have a clean release of the batter. So again, optional, but it's something that I find useful when making pancakes, and a rubber spatula as well to flip the pancakes. I'm going to put a little bit of this butter in here just to make sure that the pan is plenty hot. All right, it's melting. It looks pretty good. And you know what they say about the first pancake. So if the first pancake is not perfect, do not fret. I'll swirl this butter around just to make sure I get all of the pan nicely coated. They will spread a little bit as you put the batter into the pan, but then what you'll notice is they'll stop spreading and have a really nice lift, have all of those bubbles on the edges. I'll turn it down. This has 5 different levels, so I've put the batter in at a 4, and then I'm going to turn it down to a 3, just so it cooks the edges, but also we have to make sure that the whole pancake is cooked throughout before we flip it. The bubbles are forming, and I can get a glimpse of the batter on the side. It's just starting to brown. So I would say about a minute and a half maybe on the first side. Take a peek under and see how the bottom looks. It's slightly brown, but it's certainly not ready to flip quite yet. So we'll give it another minute or so. So I'm going to let it cook until it doesn't jiggle and there are bubbles throughout. This looks like it is ready to flip. Okay. Okay, this first pancake looks perfect, picture perfect. So the coconut oil butter, it just does something to the edges. They're perfectly crispy, and the smoke point on this is higher than like a cow's butter or a dairy butter, so I do prefer this. Now that it's flipped on the other side, I still have it on my level 3, and I'm going to cook this for another minute or so, and then I'm going to start plating them up. First pancake, done. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more of the butter to the pan and repeat that same process until all of our pancakes are done. While I've added vanilla extract in here, you can certainly use different spices. A little bit of cinnamon would be great in here. Even if you did like almond extract and then did some fresh raspberries in the batter itself. This is just my standard pancake recipe, so feel free to modify it. Chocolate chips, fruit, however you want to make it your own. This is just your standard recipe, and you can use this as a guideline for a pancake recipe with unlimited modifications. I so desperately want to be the person who can flip it in the pan. I'm not that person. We've got a nice stack of pancakes going here. So far we have 4. I think I have 2 left. So however many servings you decide 6 pancakes is, that's up to you. I want to use every last bit of this batter, so I'm going to switch to my rubber spatula and just pour it right in there. Time to give these pancakes a taste and see how they came out. Of course, topped them with butter and maple syrup. They're so soft and fluffy. Crispy edges, nice vanilla flavor. I can't wait to see how you make these sourdough pancakes around. Thanks for following along.